Hi, Caspar here from Bowes Wine on the, what have we got, 19th of October 2015, and tasting 2003 Château La Lagune. Pretty contentious vintage, pretty contentious wine. It's been, I've seen some notable authorities in a slightly panicky way saying you must drink these wines up immediately, they're all failing, they're going to fall apart, and you know, I'll be the first to admit it's not, I don't warm to 03s in general. I put them to my nose and I go, you know, straight away smell a smell that really seems to link 03s almost from whatever appellation they come, or region of Europe pretty much they come, and it's a smell the French called torréfaction, which is the effect of sun and heat. Anyway, let's taste it. Colour's good, you know, this is still really red, this wine, and you would expect a wine, kind of half expected to pour it out and it to be very brown, because you would think a wine that's lacking in acidity, as a lot of the 03s generally are, although we'll evaluate the acidity in this in a minute, lose their colour quite quickly. You know, it's like the 1962 clarets, which had so much acidity that are still bright red. Anyway, this is saying only 13% alcohol, so let's give it a go. I mean, I've held it up to light, I've had a good look at it. It's still ruby red, you know, it's not really an advanced looking colour, I must say. And the aromas, you know, have kind of come together. When I first opened it, it had all that sun-baked, dried fruit, espresso stuff going on, that, as I say, it doesn't really appeal to me, but I think since it's had some air, it's rather cleaned up, it's acting. What you're left with is quite a bit of spice and dark fruit of some lack of precision. You know, there's no great exactitude here. This is you know, quite a spread of a nose, a bit of a smudge perhaps, but black, a bit of licorice, dark plum, spice, and dark. You know, this is a very dark nose. It's almost sort of crypt-like. It's dark and dangerous. You bung it in the mouth, and there's a moment where you go, oh yeah, okay, that's quite easy going, and then very quickly it appears initially within, and then sort of becoming quite dominant, a real firm, slightly dry structure that I think again is typical of 03. It's slightly unyielding, it's a bit ungenerous, it's a bit, I think it's a bit ugly actually, is what you could say. This is the perhaps the antithesis of elegant, and so you would have kind of thought perhaps it's a wine I don't like, but you know, I've just had a couple of bites of I'm cooking dinner next door, and I've just had a couple of bits of tasters on dinner, and actually with the food the structure has softened completely, and I think, you know, if you eat this à table, I think it will become a much softer, more easy, much more easy to enjoy. Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to find out two things. One, if this softens and relaxes a bit more with a bit more air, and two, where it's going. I mean, this is, you know, it's pretty, 03 as a vintage is pretty unprecedented, and we don't know, you know, all the modern latest techniques were thrown at this extraordinarily hot vintage. I mean, days over 40 degrees centigrade in June, July and August in Bordeaux, which is just unheard of. And the grapes on the vine were cooked on the, you know, on the particularly on the exposed side of the vine. In many instances, the fruit was just thrown away. So, you know, the colour is good. It's not lacking acidity. You know, there is freshness there. Mm. But there's also some concentration. There's also a massive amount of tannin, which is not, you know, particularly user-friendly tannin, it must be said. But you know, it's gained some length with breathing, and you know, I'd be interested to see what happens if they become any more, any prettier with age. And I personally don't think there's a massive rush to drink these up, despite the sort of panic stations reported in certain areas of the press. And you know, give it a go. You know, I'm a fan of La Lagune. I quite like this wine. I can't say it's, you know, it's my favourite vintage, but it's a nice thing to drink. And you know, if you've got a case, give it a go. If you've got a case of any of the O3s, pretty much, give them a go. See how they're getting on, and don't forget to drink them with some pretty punchy food. I think that is definitely a prerequisite. But yeah, let me know what you got and what you're drinking and what you think. Be interested to find out.